That's a good movie. Yeah. In fact, I even got that one up here with my Blu-rays. It's like the 10th anniversary edition of Fight Club. But one thing Fight Club is not so cool on is that their little tab. Fight Club for Xbox. This was like $1. It's Fight Club, the 2004 original Xbox game based on the 1999 20th Century Fox movie based on the 1996 novel by Chuck Palahniuk. This is the story mode in the game. It loosely follows the story of the movie, and people seem to think it's one of the worst Xbox video games of all time. In Europe, it also came out on PlayStation 2. I don't know. Enjoy this cutscene that doesn't really set up anything.
Hey, I'm looking for Tyler.
Fucking virgin.
Yeah, first time.
Rule 8, first night here, you gotta fight. Your turn, newbie.
Oh shit!
So this will be your first fight. You are set up in a fight against Ricky, who I don't think is anybody even in the movie. It's just some random guy. You get to name your character. His name by default is just Hero. I named him Poop for B because, you know, Poop for B. Anyway, it's a fighting game, you know, pretty basic stuff here. 2 punches, 2 kicks, combo buttons, grapple, and a block. You can only grapple when people's health is low, but you can grab them and like dig knees into them and stuff. Not a particularly long game. The story mode only takes about 20 minutes to beat. I recorded beating it all, but I don't think I'm going to put it in this whole video because it's kind of a pain to watch. So anyway, interesting stuff about the game. The crew that developed this game did a really good job of trying to get the scenery from the movie into the game. Like this scene where they're fighting here in the basement of the bar really, you know, looks like it did in the movie. They did a really good job. So when you move on, there's cutscenes, but they're more like still pictures with a voiceover. I just cut those out because I'd just skip them if I was playing the game. But like the story basically is that you broke up with your girlfriend and you joined Fight Club because you're looking for Tyler Durden and you want to find out, you know, about Project Mayhem and the stuff in the movie and so on and so forth. So you go on this quest and start asking questions, and now you're beating up characters from the movie now. Like here you're fighting Irvin, who is the guy who managed the bar they fought in the basement of. And again, they did a really good job of capturing the scene from the movie. Like this really looks like that parking lot where Tyler Durden says,
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. Oh. Motherfucker! Hit me in the ear!
and like that's, you know, where the scene takes place, and it looks really good, especially for an original Xbox game where they didn't really have the story style video game that I think we've become more used to now, like a cinematic interactive experience, wasn't quite out yet. There were games that were trying. This wasn't really one of them per se, but source material came from a popular movie. So now into the next fight. Now you're in the backyard of the Paper Street Soap Company house. You're fighting Bob. Interesting fact about Bob in this game, he's voiced by Meatloaf, the guy who played him in the movie. And Meatloaf, of course, is Took the words right out of my mouth. You know, he was a singer, and he still is a singer, but, you know, he had a pretty successful album with Bad Outta Hell in 1977, I believe, is when that album came out. But, yeah, man, Meatloaf does his own voice, and he plays himself in the movie. There's actually a list of, looks like 4 characters that are the same between the two media. Meatloaf, Holt McCallany plays the mechanic who you'll fight later. Detective Stern, Tom Gossam Jr., who you'll fight later. And bartender in the bar, Michael Seamus Wiles, who's apparently also in the movie. Everybody else was voiced by a different person than they were played by in the movie, or they just, you know, weren't in the movie, and the hero character was not in the movie. This fight's down on like the loading dock, and you're fighting Lou, who's the guy who owned the bar, Lou's Tavern.
There's a sign on the front that says Lou's Tavern. I'm fucking Lou. Who the fuck are you?
Look at his fucking back fat, dude. Look at it. It's just like all drooping down his back like a old runny egg. Show that back fat. Look at him. They made him way more muscular too than he was in the movie. In the movie, he never took his suit jacket off. And Tyler Durden just bleeds all over him and coughs blood in his face.
You don't know where I've been, Lou. Oh my god! You don't know where I've been!
You've been watching in real time me beating these fights. Like I said, it's not hard. This is normal difficulty. I didn't set it on hard, but I mean, it's still for a normal difficulty game. It's stupid simple. So that's what, 4 fights I think I just went right through. Maybe 5 fights I just went right through them. This is down by, I believe, the area where in the movie they're walking down the street and they're setting off all the car alarms. This is like that neighborhood, I believe. And the guy you're fighting is actually a guy who does his own voice. Same character in the movie, the mechanic character in the movie. Same guy did the voice in the video game. I feel like the video game had a lot of potential. I know people have said that, like, again, this is one of the worst translations ever, because I think a lot of people who played this game or developed this game or whatever kind of miss the whole point of Fight Club. The point of Fight Club is the whole, you know, duality, internal conflict, mental illness, the more interesting elements to that movie. And yet here it's just like, hey, it's about fighting. Fight Club is about fighting, but they kind of touch on the other elements. Here's Angel Face. This is Jared Leto's character in the movie, and one thing that I really like about this level in the game is they flooded the basement just like it is in the movie, because there's a couple scenes in the movie where they talk about the basement floods, and he's down in the basement changing the fuses, and they're sparking and shit.
It felt like destroying something beautiful.
I just whipped the shit out of this dude. I think he hit me one time. Oh, there's 3. It's like, how come you don't drown? Like, when you're in the water, like, your head's underwater, you think you would just drown. That's how you could win the fight. I think the environment isn't interactive, but it looks like they thought about making the environment interactive, because things will move as you fall into them and stuff. Alright, so now we're down at the airport. This is Raymond. Now, it's odd that Raymond's a character in Fight Club, because in the movie, Raymond is the guy he pulls out of the convenience store. He puts the gun that isn't loaded, but he doesn't know that at the time, up to Raymond's head, and he basically holds him at gunpoint and forces him to follow his dreams of being a veterinarian. I don't know why they decided to make him a character that was playable in the game. He was really not... He really had nothing to do with Project Mayhem in the movie or in any medium, as far as I know. So I thought this was kind of an odd choice. He's a martial arts guy, though. I think that might have been why they wanted to use him, because he's like an Asian dude, so they could be like, oh yeah, he's a martial arts guy. but at no point in the movie do they say he knows martial arts or does he use any kind of martial arts. So it's kind of, yeah, it's questionable why they used him. It's just kind of an excuse.
Tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond Castle's life. His breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever tasted.
So I'm going to continue undefeated, even though I'm going to get pretty close to death here, but I think yeah, he's just bleeding right out of his face. That's another thing, too, the blood splatter on the screen and just the blood gushing out of the faces of the people. It's like, it's very over the top. It's like, I think they're really trying to go for, you know, a gory, or not gory, but just like a cringy thing. So this level is the biggest bitch of a fucking level. It took me like 4 tries to beat this guy. You have to break his arm, okay? But at no point do they explain to you how to do it. I had to go online, look it up on some website, Cheat Code Central or something, some old school cheat code site, how to break this dude's arm. And I found it. It's real easy. You press down and X and A, I believe, at the same time. Right now I'm about to do it. You gotta wait for them to have their health like in the red or in the orange or whatever color that is. Here you go. I grab him, bust his arm. I mean, 90-degree angle to the arm, and the skeleton thing's cool. I know a lot of people associate that with like Mortal Kombat now. Like Mortal Kombat X has the X-ray of the skeleton getting bones broken and stuff. I don't know what the first game is to do that. I don't think this was the first game, but it's certainly an interesting feature. I'm fighting some random leader of some random fight club. And all the characters look really generic, like even the Tyler Durden and Jack characters. Jack is Edward Norton's character, if you're unfamiliar. But even those characters just look really generic. I think Bob might be the most unique looking one just because he actually has the big bitch tits. But yeah, this game was incredibly poorly received. 37 out of 100. 36 out of 100 for the PS2 version in Europe. And Japan, I guess. Here I'm fighting Jared Leto's character again. I just have some notes I'm looking at. But I guess this is the thing. I remember the first time I played this game, I was over at a friend of mine's house, and I had always been a big fan of Fight Club. I knew there was a video game. I had a PS2. I never had an opportunity to play it until I was at his house. And I sat in his room, and like, you know, he lived with his parents because I was younger at the time. He lived with his mom, and like him and his sister and his brother were all out in the living room, like, you know, eating dinner, watching TV and stuff. And I was just in this dude's room playing this game. Played this game for hours. And like I unlocked everything, and I was just going through fighting people. And with Xbox Live, it was kind of fun because like you could fight online, and I didn't have any online stuff on my PS2, so it was an interesting experience. I don't think this was the first game I ever played online, though. I think the first game I ever played online was SOCOM, at least on a console. But I actually had a really good time playing this game because I really am a big fan of the source material, the book and the movie. And as much as this is not a very good game, if you use your imagination a little bit, you know, you can get some enjoyment out of it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not really a lot else to say about it. It's not... People make it out to be a really bad game. I think graphically it's pretty good. The gameplay is subpar, but it's very usable as far as a fighting game. It's just, there's nothing really fancy to it. Now you're fighting the Edward Norton character, which is basically like, you know, the boss of the game, I guess you'd say. But I don't know. I mean, he's not even particularly that difficult. Like I kept beating him, and it's funny because I breezed through this game, right? Like, you know, it's 15 minutes of playing the game, or about to be, but it's like 15 minutes of gameplay with all the cutscenes. It's probably 25 minutes, 27 minutes, something like that. But I can't believe For the life of me, they would put out a story mode that's so short. I mean, there's not a lot of characters in the game. I think there's 3 characters you can unlock, but I'll get to the unlockable character, one specifically, here at the end of the video. But yeah, I mean, here I go. I'm about to beat Jack. He's got me. I mean, it was a good fight. It was a good even fight. If all the fights were like this, it probably would be a better game. But like, he even taps out. He should be, you know, throw all caution to the wind. You should have to beat him till he's unconscious, I would think. And it looks nothing like Edward Norton, too. That did bother me when I played it the first time as well. Here's the end scene of the game. Now he looks more like Edward Norton, I guess.
You know what this is? Good. If for some reason the detonation fails, this is the fail-safe.
Okay, so they made the main character of the game essentially the guy who blows up the buildings in the end of the movie. Even though they never mention this dude throughout the course of the movie. So the events of the game take place like in the latter half of the movie, and it's more like this guy's a character that nobody knew about, but he's in the movie. And here's the scene where he shot himself, and they drag Marla up there.
You can't do this to me.
Let her go.
You fucking
It bothers me too she doesn't say you're shot.
What game are you playing now? Put me in the fucking bus. Oh my god. Your face.
She says, look at your face. But in the movie she says, oh my god, you're shot. Which is kind of an unusual way to phrase that. Well, then this dude has some inner monologue.
Stick to the game plan. Right.
I prefer the movie ending to this fucking bunch of bullshit.
Project Mayhem has begun. Tyler's going to show us how to get back to the basics. How to weed out all bullshit. We're pulling down civilization. We will become individuals again. The rest of the world is going to have to get ready. We're going to wake them up too. Whether they want it or not.
So what's your reward for playing our 20-minute game? Oh, look, the character Fred has been unlocked. I wonder who that could be. Fred, huh? Oh, look, there he is over there. Fred. Yeah, Fred. Cool, cool. Wonder how cool... Wait a minute. Was that Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit? Fighting Meatloaf from Meatloaf? Okay, I don't care how much Fred Durst had to pay to get into this game. He's never, ever been that fucking skinny. Ever in his life. Also, it's funny because 2 years prior to this, 2 or 3 years prior to this, Fred Durst was an unlockable character in a wrestling game. And again, they kind of made him like a caricature of himself. I think I might actually do a video on that game at some point, so I'm not going to throw... I might throw one image up. But, yeah. Regardless, Fred Durst is an unlockable character. I like to break people's arms in this game now, because it really is kind of fun to do. Or maybe I just have some kind of problem. But yeah, I played the arcade mode with him, so I broke everybody's arm every chance I got. Yeah, so anyway, that's the Fight Club game, and it's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, and Edward Norton's character broke my arm at the end of my game. Even though I came back and beat him with one arm. Figure that out.